And good evening, everyone. We're back. Only took us 2 days, but we're back. We're back at the NamLAN 2021 AC final to finish some unfinished business from Sunday afternoon. And it's good to get this wrapped up. My name's Daniel Haynes, and I'm joined with Philip De Bruyne in commentary this evening. Say hello to your fans, Flip.
Good evening, Daniel, and good evening, everybody watching. Thank you for bearing with us. As Daniel said, we're back. And I'm excited to see tonight, and I hope it's a continuation of what we had on Sunday.
Yeah, I have full confidence that Namibia has internet, and this will be sorted. We got great internet in Cape Town, so hopefully this stream stays solid. I don't want to jinx it. I'm touching every bit of wood around me right now. So we're gonna, just to remind people, it's gonna be a bit of a quick stream because we're literally finishing off what we started on Sunday, and that will be the second race that was affected by losses, and that's a reverse order, which it wasn't a reverse order, but I've been told it will be a reverse order grid, so hopefully I don't get shown up again there. So we'll have a reverse order 15-minute sprint, which is the end of the qualifying for all of the Assetto runs that has happened over 2 weeks here at NamLAN. And then we get the big one, what we've actually all been waiting for, the last thing in the whole event of NamLAN, I believe, which is a 20-minute sprint race. Yeah. Winner takes all. Points mean prizes, quite literally points mean prizes. So let's get to the grid, and I believe we should have some action. Or we will do once the countdown timer concludes. So here we go. Yeah. Let's get myself organized on this stream.
Yeah, while we're waiting, Daniel, it's it's not just the first place; it's the first, second, and third place, that gets prize money in NamLAN. So, unlike a lot of other, unlike other races, it's really competitive. If you can't make first place, you're still gonna claw for that second place. You're still gonna claw for that third place, and that's why we said, even with the exception of the first place, we need to give everybody that equal opportunity. That's hence the finals were postponed to today.
Yes. Totally agree with you.
There's a lot of good contenders. I mean, I know me and you, we're going to be looking at a lot of people racing tonight, seeing if they can get the positions they had. Dippenaar, which had an unfortunate fall back in the race where the internet went bad, unfortunately, in Namibia. I don't see Van Rijn in the startup, but there's quite a few things happening, and I think they're off.
Yeah, they're off indeed. Right, I'm trying to get as quickly my car off the grid as I possibly can, and we'll join them as they come into turn one. So here we go. We got a reverse order. Melvin Goose at the front, and Sarel Bossoff up the inside already. Let me just get myself a little bit in order here. We got a bit of carnage right at the start of this race, and looks like Melvin's dropped back into third already. Peter Murray, who started at the front, is down to 9th position already, so that's the start to forget. Made a mess of his reverse order, but Dippenaar, who got kicked and was one of the person that was having an awesome second race, he's up early, started in 5th position, already our leader. Melvin's back up into 2nd spot, and here he is up past Bossoff. And Dippenaar is our current leader, but I think this is going to change a lot. We're looking out for the real quick guides of Vasaji Grobler and Adrian Nell coming from the back to see how far they can progress through in only 15 minutes. So Dippenaar, back where he was on Sunday. Let's keep all our fingers crossed for his internet connection. I think he got a bit robbed on Sunday in race 2, so he's got a second opportunity now, and he's leading. Already halfway through lap 1, started 5th, already in 1st place. Melvin Goose has recovered from his start where he lost a couple of places, back up to the 2nd. Jason, I think we've got another now. Jason Nell's moved up into 5th position. So,
and I mean, we've got Basil in 3rd place. I mean, in the previous races, he was number 1 up there with Adrian Nell. So right now, he's got a very strong position. If he can keep everybody with that defensive driving that we know he can do behind him, even Adrian's going to have a very tough time moving up.
Yes,
because
for sure.
We know he can do defensive driving. So let's see how he uses that to not only keep Adrian Nell, but the rest of the people behind him that they were in podium position. Let's see how they keep them back in this race.
Peter Grobler's just coming up, make a move up the inside, got into 7th position as an past Andre Basson. And he's side by side now, looking at Jason Nell ahead. Peter Grobler had a great Sunday afternoon, and he's looking to try and move that into a Tuesday night affair as well. So looking up the inside is Peter Grobler, and trying to cement this place, but he's going to be snuck out, I think. No, yes, he has indeed. So Basson's moved back into 7th place. Grobler's had to drop back into position. So not as easy to pass as we thought it would be. Adrian Nell still all the way down into 12th place. Only just got past Peter Murray. So he's struggling to work his way through the field. I feel like he's probably got enough championship points under his belt already to not worry too much about his starting position for the final. But Dippenaar is managing to stretch a bit of a lead now. Break the toe. He's 0.8 seconds ahead of Melvin in 2nd position. And as you say, Basil, who was all over, I mean, he was leading for both races at the start, managed to sneak past Adrian Nell. He proved himself as a great starter on Sunday, and he's had a good start here as well, because he's up into a podium spot already. So I think he's the man to watch.
And, you know, the thing I like about the reverse order is the fact that maybe some people had a bad start. And right now, those random cards are thrown into the table, and they need to work their way up between these guys to get back to that podium position. So we'll see how that affects them, because if you got someone that knows the circuits, they know the racing lines, that's one thing. But if you got someone driving with you that drives a little bit unorthodox...
Oh, there's contact there.
So much. Oh, goodness.
Sorry. Yeah, Basil had contact there with Melvin, and they managed to recover. All they've done is lost a lot of time to Dippenaar in 1st place. But Basil was looking up the inside of the Crocodiles and made contact with Melvin. Melvin managed to carry on going, but Basil's got to regroup now because he's got Mike McGear for company very, very close behind in that green 695 you can see on your screen.
Yeah, I might be a little bit unhappy about that, but I mean, this is still early in the race. He can still make up that time.
He can indeed. Only 10 minutes to go though, 15-minute race. We're a third of the way through it already. It's like you blink and you miss it with these little sprint races. Little cars and short races, but they're super entertaining to watch. And I've been told the tyres, while they're basically drifting their way through this massive circuit, feel the heat and pain. Which is why we got a 20-minute final, because the feeling is after 20 minutes you're on you're on steel rims with no brakes and no rubber left. If you carry on any longer than 20 minutes, and Dippenaar's got a 2-second lead right now, so it's looking comfortable for Wilro at the front. But Melvin and Basil are really hunting it out. We see Melvin, the damage on the side of his 695 already due to the contact they had in the Crocodiles in the previous lap. Going back, seeing some cars snaking their way through. Who's that? That's Dylan, I think, in the yellow Fiat at the back, who's having all sorts of go. And we're on with Jason Nell at the moment, which is in the middle of a sandwich. He's still got Peter Grobler behind, that very struggling to make progression through this field. I think what this has done is given guys 2 extra days of practice, hasn't it? So they would have seen where they were deficient on Sunday and maybe have spent Sunday afternoon, the rest of it, and yesterday getting a little bit more acquainted with this 695, possibly making a few setup changes, I hasten to add, as we see Peter Grobler send it up the inside, and that's a pass done on Jason Nell. It's gone a bit wide, though, through the Crocodiles. Will he still have the place by Cheetah? Maybe not. They're side by side through Cheetah. 2 wheels for Jason Nell, but it's not enough, and Peter Grobler is moved up into 6th position. So back with our front leaders. Dippenaar is horsing away with this now with a 2-second lead. He'll be feeling very, very comfortable and just praying his internet connection holds on, as Melvin's looking behind rather than in front at this point, trying to keep Basil at bay, and that might be a difficult task because we saw how strong Basil was on Sunday.
Yeah, no, they were all very strong. I mean, this was basically almost what happened on Sunday, right before we had that major network incident. Dippenaar way in front, battling out right behind him. You know, all these very strong Melvin Goos, Basil, all of them were. This was almost what we had. And let's hope, like you said, they're praying the internet holds on. Let's hope it holds to the end of the 3 races.
Maybe that's why they're such short races.
Racing. I love it.
We don't do a 9-hour in Namibia. 15 minutes is all we put up with.
We trying to.
A 9-hour would be a push. A 9-hour would be a push. Right. Well, the big surprise for me is Adrian Nell is still in 10th place. He hasn't made any progression in this race whatsoever. So he's struggling for whatever reason in his lightningly quick 695 from Sunday. Someone's maybe handicapped his car since Sunday afternoon because he's struggling to get through the field right now as he's getting very close to Bosch off in front. Looks up the inside here at Learcop turn 10. Very, very tight line, but he's got the inside line now. That should be done for Adrian now, and I think it will be as they come down to the mine shaft. Adrian now should be on the inside.
Very tight driving, but I mean, also his components, if they don't have the network issues they had, he's going to have a tougher time racing against opponents that have, complete control.
Boshoff got backed now, not having any of it, but I mean, he took an adventurous trip across the grass there. That's the slower way through, and now finally got the move done by Cheetah. But my word, did he have to earn that pass, and that's only for 9th position. As Michael Rust, even though it says Mike Rust on my live timings, I've been told it's Michael Rust, moves up to 7th, gets past Jason Null as well. So how are our leaders getting on? So we've missed. Basil has got past Melvin in for 2nd position. Obviously, just in the last few corners because it's very, very close. So Basil has got the pass made, moved up into 2nd place, almost being pushed along by the Volvo. How's that? It's sponsored by Volvo, but it's a Fiat 695. So it's an interesting choice of livery there. We've got a Volvo Fiat 695 Arbath. Bit of a mouthful. Really, really pushing Dippenar now. Wasn't happy that he lost his position, and he's got Mike McGear behind, not far back in the green 695 also.
Goodness, these guys are really competing for it, eh?
These for 2nd place is really hot. It looks like Dippenar is going to run away with this one though. He's 3.1 checking out at the front, and it's a fight between Melvin and Basil for these last 2 podium positions. And Mike McGear's just sat there waiting for contact to be made, and he could potentially sneak both of them. That's always a nice place to be, watching a battle unfold in front of you, and just hoping that a little nudge happens here or there, and you can gain a couple of spots in one. But it's right in the toe is Melvin, right down the mine shaft. That must be a very nice place to be. Looking left, looking right as they come up to the crocodiles. Takes a different line here to Basil, and is going to cut back. But yeah, he basically looks like they're being towed round, doesn't it? Super, super close between these two.
No, it's been really, I love this. I love this. Now that everyone's on equal footing, it's really proving to be a very different race than what we saw race 2 on Sunday. I love this. It's again back to what you originally predicted. You need now, with everyone being on equal footing, you need to carry the speed of the car through everything.
And here's Melvin.
These small mistakes.
He's up the inside here, Crowthorne. Melvin might have this done at Crowthorne, and we've got Basil going wide. He's got to go the long way, but if he can just hold on, he'll then have the inside up the Juxki sweep. But it looks like Melvin might have got this done through this sweep as they come up to Barbecue. Has indeed. That was a good little pass there. Good bit of battling between the two. Safe driving. Now, can he get in front and stay there as they come up to Sunset? In the meantime, they're looking in the distance as Dippenar is just checking out. Looks like Basil's done the switch back and is up the inside now of Sunset. Super close between these two. This is going to be a battle to the end. We've only got 4 minutes to go in this race. Side by side for nearly the whole lap. The switch back again from Basil up Clubhouse. Excellent pass. That's 3 passes and 3 corners between these two. And Mike McGear, in the meantime, is completely caught up and is right in the mix now. As Melvin regroups in 3rd position. They're going to come up the hill. Next opportunity is to try and sneak up the inside of Learcop here. Turn 10 and 11. Is that what Melvin's going to do? He has a very good look. The door gets closed by Basil. It's closed tight. It's going to have to wait. Sneak back behind, come down the mine shaft. Seem to get a bit of toe here because we saw a lot of passes on Sunday through the crocodiles at the end of this hill. A lot of passes. In fact, the most passes the whole afternoon was at this corner, which is a little bit unusual. But it doesn't look like Melvin's going to be able to do so here. And Mike McGear is not far away at all, is he? Let's ride on board with Melvin just to show you how close this is and how difficult it is to follow someone this close and try and keep your braking points and not hit the guy. Through Ingwe they go. This will be the next drag down to Crowthorne. This is where he got the pass done last lap. Can he do it again? He's only going to have 2 or 3 more laps to go. Super, super tight.
Yeah, but I mean, look who's in front of Melvin. It's Basil.
Yeah.
the ultimate defender. Oh, that's a bit of contact, I think, that happened there.
Yeah, a bit of a bump draft there. Bit of a bump draft. And Adrian Nell's just got the fastest lap. But this is Melvin. We're on board. He got a bit of a bump draft through there and has snuck it back up the inside. This is deja vu from the last lap. He's back on the inside. He's going to have the pass made. Now he's got to remember where he made a mistake last time. And it was the switchbacks from Basil sneaking on the inside of Clubhouse that got him eventually. Exactly the same again. He's on the inside again, is Basil, through Sunset. Let's follow through. Oh, that camera's a bit annoying. Oh, looks like that's Melvin just coming a little bit sideways. Mike McGear is now looking to sneak past here. This could be a double loss. No, they've reformed. 2nd, 3rd, 4th position, all desperately trying to finish on the podium. In the meantime, Dippenaar, 4.6 seconds. Super, super comfortable. He can now come off the gas, relax, not worry about his tyres and just drift this thing home as Basil, Melvin and Mike McGear try and hunt it out. Mike Rust has moved up into 7th place again over Nell, Jason Nell. And Adrian now up into 8th position. Really struggled to make his way through the field this race. Peter Grobler as well. Adrian now goes past Michael Rust into 7th place. Peter Grobler in 6th position. We're staying on board with this battle here because it's a right peach of a battle. Can Melvin get past here? Basil through the cheetah section. No, he can't. That's Crocodiles. Here's Cheetah. We're going to go back on board with Melvin as they come through Ingwe, and then we'll go down the final straight again. This seems to be Melvin's party piece, but he just can't hold on to the position for the rest of the lap. That's 2 laps in a row. He's managed to get a pass done here, has Melvin. Basically tucking in as much as he can, breathing in his 695, make himself as narrow as possible. He's gone on the outside. Basil's thought he's learnt from the previous mistakes, and he's covering that inside, really tightly covering that inside line. Has he braked too late? No, he hasn't. Got it in tight. That was learning. That was good driving from Basil because he knew Melvin prefers the inside line. He lost that position 2 laps in a row. Can he just keep... He wants to hug this inside of Sunset for sure, and that's exactly what Basil's doing. You cannot let someone get up the inside. Make Melvin go all the way around the outside. I don't think you're going to have the power in a 695 to get around the outside here. It's giving it a good go, though, Melvin. Mike McGear is still sat there waiting for contact. He's got up the inside. He's up to Clubhouse. He's up. It's contact. There's the contact we talked about. Mike McGear goes round the outside of Melvin. Melvin's dropped back a place. He might lose another place. More contact. And Basson's gone through. Melvin's into the wall. It's all disaster here. It's all gone wrong here. As Melvin goes all the way back into 5th position. Basil's up to 2nd. Basson's got a DNF and Dippenaar's disconnected as well. So I'm really hoping that is not internet connection because Wilro Dippenaar is dropped off the server. And Basil Van Rijn is now the leader of this race. We had 2 cars that just dropped off the server there as we were looking at the major action between Melvin and Basil, and Mike McGear is suddenly in 2nd position of this race. Dippenaar got 2 laps to go. I dare say he's disconnected again. Flip, not so good.
No, not so good. I'm actually already on the moment I saw that. The first thing we did is we got in touch with the technical admins and said, listen, we need a report on what just happened. So we'll provide the viewers and everyone out there with reports as soon as we can. But for now, we're going to just stick with Basil. I mean,
yeah, it's only one. It's only one connection. I mean, that's a technical issue of just one guy. It's not the same as Sunday. Obviously, this is still just a qualifying round, so all it's going to do is potentially affect your starting position for the final. But we hope that we see Dippenaar back for the final as Basil, who's had some brilliant driving for Melvin, fighting for that 3rd position, suddenly finds him in a position to take the win in this final qualifying round of the 2021 AC Championship at NamLAN. And he's got a 1.7 lead, and he's on the final lap. Mike McGear, like I said, he was just happy to watch. I could see it happening. I could predict that there was going to be contact between those 2 cars. And Mike McGear was there just to capitalise when it did happen. And Melvin's the one that's a bit of a sucker who's ended up in 3rd position. He's managed to get back into 3rd. Peter Grobler up into 4th. And Adrian Nell is currently fighting with Mike Rust. So Nell's been backwards and forwards, 5th and 6th position. This is all dicing right at the end. Every point helps towards your final classification for the final, which will take us a few minutes to assemble. Peter Grobler's dropped back into 5th, got Nell side by side now. Contact between Grobler and Mike Rust, I believe. It is indeed. And Nell's round the outside following Grobler. And Rust has dropped back 3 places. Look how tight it is. It's like a swarm of 695s as they come through Learcott. Now it's Grobler and Nell. Nell took a long time to come through the field, but he could get a 4th place here right at the end. In the meantime, we've got Basil probably about to cross the line. No, he's at the bottom of the hill, so we don't want to miss this between Grobler and Nell as they come down the mine shaft. Super defensive is Grobler, and Nell's got tapped. He's got tapped by the other Nell. Oh, it's a coming together of the Nells there. As Jason Nell taps Adrian Nell, and they're going to have to regroup. Mike Rust and Grobler scamper off into the distance. Basil comes through to take the win in this last qualifying round. Mike McGeer gets 2nd place. Melvin recovers in a very second-hand 6.95 for the final podium positions. Michael Rust is going to take 4th over Peter Grobler. And Adrian Nell, what a final lap that was, but slips back into 6th position. And Dylan Visagi in 7th, Jason Nell 8th, Peter Murray 9th. And that was our finishers for this final qualifying. 15 minutes. God, you blink and you miss it. You really do. But look, I mean, they couldn't go much more because there's enough damage on some of these 695s that I don't think five more minutes would be a stretch.
I heard someone today ask me, what's a GT driver's worst nightmare? And I said, I don't know. And he said, a couple of Fiat 500s coming around the corner. And he was obviously referring to this race.
Yeah, it's got that was as much action as we saw all of Sunday in the first race. So, if we get a final, anything like that, where there's actually a lot to play for, that'll be very, very welcome.
Yeah, this is all down to this last race, eh?
It is.
And I mean, it was actually amazing to me, Daniel, if I can share this just a moment with everybody. Today I was again meeting the founders of Namibian esports, Louis van der Merwe and Jonel van Schalkwyk. Louis being the first president of esports Namibia, and I mean it's games and esports and everything that brought everyone together here. And specifically talking today to the NESA president right before me, Jonel van Schalkwyk, who was my mentor in terms of esports. It's moments like these that you create for athletes and the viewers that are irreplaceable. I mean, this was top-notch competition, and it all comes down. This is what I love about it. It all comes down to this final match, this final race, this final where everyone knows it's all on the line for for what's at the end of this finish line. This is heart pounding, adrenaline pushing action. This is what you want.
Yeah, and I mean, there wasn't let's be honest, the last qualifying round, they're already going for it as if that there is $4,000 on the line, and there wasn't. It's the next one, so I dread to think what's going to happen in this next 20 minutes. I dare say it's going to be all action, everything put on the line to try and get that final position. And as you say, you only got to get into the top 3 as well. If you can't finish first, finish 2nd or 3rd. There's prizes available there as well. So it's going to be super interesting. We just need to give a bit of time, obviously, for the admin team to calculate the final points, which unfortunately I can't bring on the screen, which next time we'll have to make sure we can do that for you. But it's a reflection of the point standings from qualifying round 1, which was Tony Rust, qualifying round 2, which I believe was Kalani, just down the road from me. And then obviously the first 2 rounds, the one of which we had on Sunday, and this one we've just seen with the reverse order grid. So all of those points that you collected, your final positions, basically all that is a qualifying for this final race, which is going to be a 20-minute sprint at Kailani. And as we've said already, winner takes all. But we did also see that your starting position is important, because we've got the likes of Adrian Nell couldn't get himself to the front of the class, can he? So it's going to be all that effort they put in for the last couple of weeks definitely means something, because starting from the front is an advantage, a big advantage. You've got a little bit longer to work your way through the grid in 20 minutes, but it's still a tall ask. Still a very tall ask if you're not near the front of the grid.
But Daniel, I've got a question though. You being on track in person and seeing these guys racing around it in Fiat 500s, you know, what is the biggest difference in terms of, you know, the performance, what you expected versus what you see now? Because obviously it's a GT track. We all know Kyalami is built for a little bit of a bigger car group, not for these oaks. So what was your first impression, you know, when you actually saw these cars going around that track?
Well, they look like teenage hooligans that have just got their driving license and just got themselves their first car, haven't they? And they found a nice big car park, maybe like a builder's warehouse car park or something, and they're just basically on a joyride. That's sort of what it looked like for the first 2 rounds as these little things skipper around what is a monster circuit. But I have to say, very entertaining, very entertaining. The passes all over the circuit. I mean, the amount of passes we saw down the bottom of the mine shaft through Crocodiles and Cheetah is a lot more than we saw for 9 hours in the Kyalami 9 hour a couple of weekends ago. So, yes, I'm all for it. As the fact that we can take liberties in the virtual space is sometimes a nice thing, and I would much rather have 695s than some stupid F1 car that no one can handle. So it's great racing, very good racing.
And I mean, you said you saw passes with these cars. I mean, obviously, there's a couple of turns where we saw people do passes upon passes. I mean, even a switcheroony where someone thought he passed and literally in a couple of 100 meters, someone passed him again. Something you wouldn't see in the real Kyalami.
Yeah, Melvin and Basil, they switch places 4 times in 1 lap, didn't they? So that's perfect. That's exactly what we want.
So it's very different, you know, if you race this track. And you said the virtual space is a wonderful place where you can really swap about the possibilities. Because, like you just said, if we were to race anything bigger, you know, you can't take an F1 on this track. You could, but it normally wouldn't be possible. But these sort of cars, and I think this is something we have to make clear here to a lot of the folks watching. A lot of people think you always want to put the best car out there, the strongest car out there. You know, you want to put one very popular car, let's say, in terms of pop culture. You want to put a Mustang there. You want to put a Lamborghini there. That does not necessarily show your skill. The skill is knowing your driver lines, knowing when you can pass, knowing when you can do all these things you need to do to get to that podium position. But it's not as easy in a car that does not provide the power. You know, this is a Fiat, this is a light car, it barely weighs, I mean, I wear a size 15 shoe, these cars barely weigh more than my shoe. To get these things to go faster is a finesse, it's a skill. It's a honed skill over many years that you have to know. If the turn looks like this, if it's a 90 degree, if it's a hairpin, if it's a this type of turn, it takes a lot of effort to carry a certain type of car around that corner in the highest speed possible.
It does. And you've got to learn a different style of driving. It's like MX-5 driving in iRacing. It does that, or Formula V racing, where it provides an immense amount of fun racing. It really does. And it teaches you racecraft so that when you move up to the bigger stuff, and everything's going that little bit quicker, much better. Yeah. So and for a short little races like this, it's like it reminds you sort of how British touring cars back in the old days when I was a kid. You go and watch British touring cars. It's just epic fun to watch, immense fun to watch. And these 695s are a little bit quicker than I realised. A 158 round Kyalami is actually not that bad, eh? That's a pretty solid time. I mean, that's sort of a heavy wet time in the wet in a GT car. So. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. If we get 20 minutes like we just had 15 minutes, for sure I'll take it. And there'll be some interesting findings at the end of who can run away with those prizes in the top 3, because it was a bit different than what we expected right at the death. I'm thinking Dipignar's like cursed though. Surely a good finish is required. that yeah, poor guy's been robbed multiple times, hasn't he? So yeah, hopefully he gets it back on track. And I just realised I think I didn't have too much game audio on, so next time we'll get a bit more game audio for you guys as we get back in. We're still waiting for the servers to rejoin, and I think they're building them right now.
But Daniel, another question though. I noticed tonight you're not saying Fiat 500 as much. Is that because some time has gone by, or is that possibly because you gain some respect for these cars. You know, because you're not addressing them like you did on Sunday.
I actually like these. I went for a week in Tuscany, and I rented 2 of these. I had a black one and a white one. I drove one, and then friends of mine in the other one, and we were horsing around in little Fiat 500s. Which, if anyone knows me, I'm 2 meters tall, 6'7", so I was about I could even get in a Fiat 500. I basically felt like I sat on the back seat. But it was a great week. You don't need to go fast to have fun, and they're cracking little cars. But I would actually like to. I know someone that owned one of these. One of my friends actually owned one, but I never had a go. The R-Bath version, I mean. But I know it was hellishly quick. So I'm all for a hot hatch. Coming from the UK, that's where hot hatches originated from. We're fans of hot hatches.
No, it was just interesting. You know, a lot of the times, I think I won't call it a problem. It's just a habit where people are used to seeing a certain sort of class cars driving a certain type of track. And again, then you see it in the virtual world and it's completely mixed up. And, you know, some people just, they don't adapt to it very easily. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I think you can have nothing but fun driving around one of these, though. If you were let loose on a circuit, you'd have nothing but fun. So I'm all for it. And I like the little minis you had last time as well, so I'm not going to probe you for what you might do next time, but I'm suspecting this is a bit of a NamLAN theme, is it?
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, one of the events, now again, I'm going to refer to the discussion I had earlier. You know, I had a very pleasant lunch again today with the former NESA presidents, 2 of them. And the thing about NamLAN was doing something fun for the community, still within the space of competitive esports, but something fun. So we always try and take something that you won't necessarily find in the main circuits to make it fun. For example, the one NamLAN, I think one of the very first ones. It wasn't an official thing, but just for fun we did. Back when it wasn't a physical thing, because NamLAN wasn't always online, right? It was a physical thing. We rented a venue, we got 100 people together, and we did, you know, physical stuff. We had racing rigs there. And the one night, I think it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning while we were waiting for other games to finish, is we took Monza. I don't know if you're familiar with the Monza track on Assetto Corsa. It's a really short track,
yeah,
right?
I've been to the track in real life.
Okay, we took that track and we put F1 cars on it.
Obviously.
Because that is big.
That's an awesome track in any car.
How many? Yeah, but for example, there we didn't look at the time. We just tried to see how many people, how many consecutive laps you could do before you went off track.
Okay.
Just as a fun thing, 2 o'clock in the morning. And that's what NamLAN was about. It's not necessarily always having a standard. It's trying to take your esports, because throughout the year, you know, we've got our qualifiers where we look for Namibian competitors, we give them national colors, we send them abroad. NamLAN is supposed to be the esports building theme, but still with a very light and humorous, hardly theme attached to it, if I can put it that way. So that's why, you know, we don't want to put the loudest or the most powerful car on the track, but we want to see, you know, the odd ones out. You put a car on a track that's not normal. I won't say ridiculous. I won't make a NamLAN where the official race is F1 cars on Monza.
And that's but Monza's designed for an F1 car. I've done many races. That's like the whole point of it. But yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's nice to have close racing, but especially for spectators as well. It is nice to have close racing for sure.
Yeah, and in real life, it's made for F1 cars. But I mean, having someone from the community, you know, someone from the public, go and sit in a racing seat, for example, the first time I tried to race it, it's nearly impossible. I mean, never mind an F1 car. If you put someone from, you know, just any random person in public, normally, I'm talking about normal circumstances, in a racing simulator, you say, listen, you've got a Ford Mustang, drive around this car. Or drive this car around this track. I mean, it's almost impossible to some of them. Then you put them in F1. The first thing they're going to see is, hey, I'm driving. They're going to feel the force feedback, and then they're going to feel what a barrier feels like. It's literally in that order.
Yeah, it is a bit. I mean, at least Mons is one of the easiest tracks you could ever start on. But yeah, you're going to get to the first chicane and then Curva Grande, and you're going to be off, aren't you? But
yeah, exactly.
It is a bit of a classic. But I'm liking the African feel, and I've grown very fond of Kyalami. I have to say, ever since the 9 hour. I'm an English guy, so European tracks is my bread and butter, but I was so impressed with this circuit. And Tony Venter, who bought the track in 2015, spent 500 million rand on it. And it's now it's a world-class facility that is right on the edge of getting F1 to South Africa again in a couple of years' time, fingers crossed. So that's what we're all hoping for, and to have an African GP race would be epic. And this is it's an awesome, it really is truly awesome circuit. I've been to a lot of F1 circuits, and I was thoroughly impressed by this one. I went and stayed at that hotel in Abu Dhabi at the Yash Marina circuit, which I thought was amazing. Well, it is, but the surface of this Kyalami track is right up there, eh? Really, really impressive. And I've not seen an international driver say anything negative about it at all. They've just been nothing but positive. So if we could get GP back here, that would be something else. That would be pretty awesome for a lot of African fans.
And I mean, maybe since you've traveled and you've visited these different tracks, maybe you can shed some light on this for me. But you know, since this the couple of years back, when we as esports started dealing with these tracks, and when we have Tony Rust or when we have Kyalami or these tracks in our events, we started hearing people tell us, a lot of these tracks are inspired. Some of the corners are specific corners taken from different parts of the world and combined into a very technical and comprehensive track. How much have you found of that to be true?
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't quite catch the end of the question. Sorry, Flip. I was just speaking to the guy doing the server. So just repeat the end of it. I didn't quite catch the last bit. I think we're just about to go to circuit, so let's do that.
No problem.
I didn't want to miss the start because that would be pretty embarrassing. So let me take us back there. And here we go. There we go. We've got some decent audio. Right, we've got 40 seconds. Sorry, you can carry on with your question, Flip.
So my question was just, when we started getting involved in the sim racing scene, a lot of people told us that, Namibian and South African racetracks are based on, a lot of the turns are based on very specific tracks from international. This corner was inspired by that racetrack at that country, etc. Is that true? How much of that is true?
I'm sure any new circuit, and it's a fact with a lot of modern race tracks. They nick bits. I mean, COTA in America has got all sorts of European tracks in it. For sure, but actually Kyalami's been around long enough that not so much. Right, this is going to be the final. The lights are coming on.
There we go.
And here we go. I've got to get my car off because we don't want to miss turn one whatsoever. So back to the pits we go, and we will be back.
Here we go.
Right, let's bring back up onto my screen right now, and here we're looking. So we've got Adrian now back at where he wants, with fighting with Basil once again. This is going to be the third time that Basil gets past Adrian Nell at the start. It doesn't look like it. Adrian Nell is up the inside. There's contact between Basil as a punt, and again, Basil and Nell coming together, but Basil basically just pushing Adrian Nell along, managed to hold onto it. I think that's Melvin just flying through the... It is indeed Melvin on two wheels going through the middle of the pack and is dropping down, and Peter Grobler also dropped down into sixth position. But Adrian Nell's got away, and that's ominous for some of these guys. He's away. He's had a clean start, finally. And Basil gave him a few little love taps, but couldn't work his way past. So Adrian's now going to put the hammer down. He's got 20 minutes to try and stretch a bit of a lead. But like I said, that's going to be hard work for these guys to try and hunt him down. Andre Basson in third position, Melvin in fourth. Peter Grobler is... Where's Peter Grobler done? He's dropped down to seventh. So Dippenar has got the connection back up and running in fifth position. Seeing some interesting lines through there, aren't we? Is that Michael Rust? It is Michael Rust behind. Did a little bit of farming there, put a charge in for Kyalami Circuit for cutting the grass. But he's back on track in sixth position as they come through Leerkop for the first time in this final. Back on board with our leaders, and it looks like Adrian Nell's narrowly ahead of Basil, who's looking to get the switch back here at the Crocodiles. Gone out very, very wide. but it's been covered nicely by Adrian. And Nel is looking the most likely to conclude this first lap as our leader. And not a lot in it, though, as we've got Melvin in the background fighting with Basil once again. It's a repeat of race 1 this evening. Adrian now is tucked back behind. Basil's got in front. Basil's got in front. Nel swapped back at Ingwe. Let's see whether Nel can look up the inside. Basil's he's going to cover that. Look how tight he's covering that line. It's going to compromise his exit, though. So Nel's going to go out wide, sweep back across. Basil, brilliant defensive driving, but I just feel like 17 minutes of that is going to be a lot of hard work as Nel is swarming the back of that 695. And Basil sweeps, covered that Crowthorne lovely. Now can he do Sunset? He's got to just take one corner at a time here, I think, Basil, because Nel is going to take any opportunity whatsoever. But he can't be more defensive than he was through Crowthorne. Literally pinged up against the left-hand side wall. And Nel is looking at every possible chance he can make the cut through. He's shining up the inside of Clubhouse as they come towards the S's. This is not a place where you'd usually pass, and I don't think it will be here. Nel's going to drop back. That's sensible from Nel, because the one thing that can ruin your race is contact in lap 1 or 2 and drop into the back of the field. Rather just take your losses and regroup. We've seen Nel come up the inside a couple of times here at Leerkop, and he takes a very, very tight line again. He's going to do the same as he comes out of turn 12. They're coming down the mine shaft side by side here, Nel and Basil. Or Van Rijn, I should say, in first position as they come down through the mine shaft. Crocodiles again. Basil's just driving the inside line of everywhere, just making sure that he stops Nel getting that inside position. This is obviously Adrian lost the lead after here, Cheetah, and we just missed it on the first lap because they come out of Ingwe and they'd switched around. And now Basil's managed to conclude an entire lap in front. But how long can he keep it? This is for the win, the overall win of NamLAN 2021. And $4,000 for the up for grabs for the winner of this, as Nel looks left, looks right. Dipinard in the meantime on the fastest lap of the race with a 1:58.8. They're going to be side by side at Crowthorne here, but I think Basil's got that critical inside line. Just going to force him out wide. This is great driving from Basil, really is good defensive driving. That's a masterclass in how you keep someone behind you that potentially might be a bit quicker. As Adrian now is starting to get a bit frustrated. He's going to get more and more frustrated as the laps go on. And Basil Van Rijn will get more and more comfortable knowing that you can keep him behind. But now looking on the outside of Sunset. Long, long way round in the 695 round there. Basil's just putting his car in all the right places. We're looking back at Melvin, and Dipinard's got up into third position. Basson in fifth. This is a great battle here for the final podium spots. Remind us, you get a decent prize for third place here at NamLAN, so it's all up for grabs. These two are fighting for cash, quite literally fighting for cash as they come up the hill for Leerkop. And it's the same fight that we saw in race 1 reverse order. Melvin's briefly in second position. We got contact in front between Van Rijn and Nel. And we got contact with slight contact between Melvin, Goose and Dipinard behind. Fighting over third position. These cars are hunting in a pack, aren't they? They're not, no one's being able to split here. Literally looks like Melvin's pushing Dipinard down the road in third position. Everyone driving defensive. Now we've got Dipinard almost having a sneak at Adrian. But Nel's going to be on the inside of Cheetah. This could be a pass for the lead. It is so far. Can Basil get back? It doesn't look like he is. He's looking on the switch. Look how many people are fighting here. Dipinard's fighting his way through the field. Got Dipinard, Melvin, Melvin Goose and Dipinard, and all in a line. Narrowly led by Adrian Nel. Currently leading this race, but he's got 3 guys behind. Literally in a line. This could end nasty here at Crowthorne as Melvin's the one that's up the inside. They avoid contact. Basil keeps second place. Wilro Dipinard in third. Melvin in fourth. Basson in fifth. Any of these top 5 could win this race. 7 minutes down. Only 13 minutes to go for this final round of the NamLAN 2021. And it's Adrian Nell that's just now finally managed to get a tiny bit of a gap. 0.7 seconds back to second place in Basil van Rijn. And Wilro Dippenart in the current final points and prizes standing in third position. But Melvin's using all of the track, like quite literally all of it, and a little bit more, as Melvin Goose goes wide at sunset. But they're all in a line here as they come through the S. This is definitely single file through this section of the track. And it's a massive battle as they go up and down the hill, is what we've seen in the preceding laps. Let's just drive on board with Melvin, who's trying to go out wide of turn 10. And he's got Dippenart in front of him, who at this point his biggest danger appears to be his internet connection. So he can stay there for his sake. I feel like he deserves something from his efforts over the last few races. Covering that inside again. Looks like that is the favoured position when you're defending. Just try and hug that inside line of the Crocodiles. But it does compromise your exit, and that's exactly what you see here from Melvin Goose in fourth position. Up onto two wheels. That's not the quickest way around there. Dippenart's going to slow down here. Ingwe, he's going to go around the outside. Melvin's going to try to go around the outside. Slight contact. We saw the camera wobble. In the meantime, Basson's got past. Up into fourth. That contact pushed Melvin down into fifth, and someone's off.
Oh, goodness.
Nell's off, I believe. There's a massive slide through there. Is it? No, it's not Jason now. Who is it? I'm trying to work out. Is it Andre Basson? It's Andre Basson that went and had that massive tank slapper on the straight. Down into sixth position. Gets Melvin back up into fourth. But now he's fighting Michael Rust in fifth. God, blinking places change here. It really does. In this 695 final at Kyalami. So Melvin's dropped. He's lost a lot of ground to Dippenart. He's about just over 1.5 seconds back. And in the meantime, Peter Grobler, who was awesome on Sunday and had a good first race, is really struggling in this final, down in 8th position, and is in the back pack, which is quite busy in itself. With Dylan Visagi, we featured a lot in our stream on Sunday, and in 9th position, Boshoff in 10th, Jason now in 7th. Mike Rust has managed to get in front of... Oh, Melvin's disconnected. So we've missed, unfortunately. Melvin's disconnected. I think he's gone to pits. So he's obviously had some contact, decided to think better of it. He's left, so Dippenart in 3rd position. Being a little bit more comfortable now with a 2.2 second gap to Michael Rust in 4th place. Sure, I'm going to lose my voice, and it's only 20 minutes, and I've done 9 hours of commentary at this place. So I'll let you do some for it.
Well, all I can tell you, all I'm going to tell you is, right after this race, if the ministry or whoever's in control of border control in Namibia does not contact Basil, I'm going to have a complaint, because it seems unless you've got a red Fiat, you're not getting past this guy.
No.
This guy has got some of the best defensive driving that I've seen. Obviously Adrian Nell pulling ahead of him, but we saw this in race 1. Is the moment he got ahead, he stayed ahead. But luckily in this race, funnily enough, he's not, extending that lead that much.
No.
But I mean, this race, as you said, this is the final race. Right now they're racing for a lot of cash, so that little bit of pressure can cause you to overstep, underbrake, overbrake, etc., etc. So he's not pulling ahead of the pack as he used to in the previous races. So Basil still has a chance, and I'm looking forward to see how long he can keep it up. There's not that much time left, but still, considering the entire race, there is some time left. One mistake can literally take you from that $4,000 first place to that $2,000 second place, or the $1,000 third place. We need to see how they stay mentally. Their mental fortitude will play a big role here, keeping focused. Right now, Adrian doesn't need to do too much. He just needs to do his own thing, go corner to corner. He doesn't need to push too much. It's not up to him right now. But the pressure can set in. But as you said, across the race, there has been very good fights tonight. Unfortunately, Melvin Goose fell out. There was some contact between Adrian and Jason Nell early. So there were some things leading up to this. But right now, this is pretty much a image of what we've been seeing of the races leading up to here, with Adrianel being in the lead, Basil van Rijn in second, and Dippenaar, I'm really going to be happy if his internet holds up and he grabs that third place, or even second if someone makes a mistake.
Yeah.
But he deserves this. He's been fighting very hard, and he's been fighting his ISP and internet more than he's been fighting these people on this track.
Yeah, he definitely deserves something, does Wilro Dippenaar. He's been superb for a few rounds, and he's currently in the prizes in third position. As you say, a gap of under a second is manageable, and Basil is managing to keep within a second of Adrian now. And I've been informed after 20 minutes these cars get pretty interesting on these pencil road tyres, and the fact that they're cooking. So it could easily be slipped right at the end. A bit more than 15 minutes. That extra 5 minutes just feels like a pushing along. Let's just see, the damage already on Adrian Nell is 695. He said he's forced his way through quite a bit because he's got quite a few. It's going to be at the body shop for a few days. That 695 at the end of this race because it's got some work to be done at the front. And he's got Basil van Rijn less than a second now, actually closing 0.7. Back, so maybe Adrian Nell's just starting to feel the pressure on his tyres as he's pushing as much as he possibly can to keep Basil van Rijn behind. Let's drop back and see what's going on further back in the field. Andre Basson in 5th position is currently basically running around on his own. Jason now in 6th, just starting to lead a bit of a pack between Grobler and Dylan Visagi, as Grobler's looking around the outside of Sunset here. Dylan Visagi up the inside. Pushed way offline is Visagi. And we got a tank slapper from Dylan who's struggling to hold it. Can he hold it? He does hold it, but he loses the place. And Peter Grobler moves up into 7th position. He had to work for that one. No one wants to give up anything, doesn't it? It doesn't matter whether it's 6th position or 1st. They're fighting just as well as they come through the S's. Peter Grobler seeing whether he can. He got 6 minutes, but everyone's looking at 3rd place if you're down here. That's what you're aiming for. Try and get up into 3rd. In the meantime, the leaders have sort of... No, we got Basil's got the gap down to half a second. Then Dippenaar is over a second back in 3rd position. And then we've got quite a substantial gap to Michael Russ. So, yeah, Nell's lost ground in these last couple of laps. He's struggling to keep this car running at the pace it was previously. Tyres must be feeling it as Basil has closed the gap. And we'll just see what that looks like from his perspective as he try and hunts down a bright red 695 down the straight.
It's not you are here, but your opponent is here type of location, Dot.
Yeah, that's it. He's closing, isn't he, Basil? He really is. He's putting pressure on, but 5 minutes is all Adrian's got to hold out for. Feels like a long time in these cars on this circuit, I think. But if he can hold out for 5 minutes, he's got $4,000 in his pocket.
Yeah, and I mean, the longer the race goes, you said it earlier, these are not really very big tires. These are not the ideal racing. This is not the ideal racing equipment for a very long race. So just being ahead, it means you can't keep racing like you've been racing since lap 1. You need to adjust. Otherwise, your tires simply, they're not going to keep up. Your braking lines, everything else is not going to be the same. And the more consistent driver might start doing better now as we go to the longer race.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how Adrian Nell keeps up here. It's been interesting, and I mean, this has been the whole thing, almost the entire NamLAN. It's been Basil and Nell just heading it up right here. Last year we saw the same thing between Adrian Nell and what was he called? Goodness. I'll get to his name right now. One of the biggest races in South Africa, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Charles Wilkin, was it?
I think was it? Yeah, Charles Wilkin. Yes. Yeah. So between Charles Wilkin and Adrian Nell, it was the same thing. Only Charles took 1st place here. This year it's Adrian Nell and Basil. So we'll have to see if Adrian can keep this through to the final lap.
Yeah, I think he's doing what he needs to do, but yeah, in real life, they wouldn't have any brakes left, pretty sure. They'd have some major brake failure going on after 20 minutes lapping this circuit with its braking zone, so they're doing well just to keep going. 4 minutes to go. We're looking maybe 3 more laps of this final, and the lap times, Nell put in a good one then, stretched a lead of 3/10. So he's got the gap back up to nearly a second, but he had a good lap, 3/10 quicker than Basil behind in 2nd place. Dippenaar is going along nicely, nursing his router in his spare hand, stroking it, hoping it stays connected. and he keeps that third position. Michael Rust is basically driving on his own now in fourth position, 4 seconds back from the prizes, but equally no pressure behind from Basson in fifth, who is quite a long way back. We've got quite a big scrap going on, as always, between Mike McGear, Peter Grobler, and here is Mike McGear having a look at Peter Grobler, who's definitely had a bit of contact in that green 695 with its bonnet slightly ajar. So as they come up towards sunset, a notorious corner at the best of times, but yeah, that's definitely seen a little bit more action than we've seen of him in Mike McGear's 695. As his bonnet is definitely ajar. Let's go back to see this gap at the front. It's stabilising, isn't it? Adrian Nell's just managed to hold it at sort of 0.9 of a second. And the laps are ticking down. The clock is ticking down. 2.5 minutes. They'll complete this lap. One more lap, and they'll probably have a chance to get one more in on top of that. So if they get through with 2 minutes to go on this lap, that will be 2 more laps remaining in this final. And Dipinard, he's hanging in there, 2 seconds back. He's waiting if anything happens to these guys up front. If their tyres go off, if a mistake happens, Dipinard will be there to collect. But he's still in the prizes as it stands. It's these podium positions that are so important. Michael Rust is on his own in clear air, so he's been able to lap as much as he can, but he obviously just cannot hold the pace of these front three. I'm surprised. I've actually not heard of Basil van Rijn and Wilro Dipinard in the AC community, so they've impressed me for sure, managing to hold on to the coattails of Adrian Nell, who's renowned to being incredibly quick, especially in this sim. So to still be within a second, Basil van Rijn, that's some epic driving, and the defensive driving was very impressive at the start of this race. It just did too much of an order to keep that up for more than a couple of laps, really.
Yeah, no, you just said it. Basil is especially new to me. I've seen Dipinard before, maybe not as much as I see him right now. With last year being a very big finals race, this year obviously concentrating the final lot a little bit more. But the interesting thing to me this lap, or this specific final race, is Adrian is not building as much as the lead as he did in the first race, which either shows that maybe the pressure is getting to Adrian now, or Basil has really, between Sunday and now, had enough laps to say, I'm gonna fight for this. I'm gonna really fight for that first place. And the thing I love about the sim race community in Namibia is, as you just said, even back there, we've got a scrap going on in 5th, 6th, 7th place. These guys are not giving up, because it's not just about the prize to them. It's about the prestige. It's about the event itself, and I just love that.
Yeah.
But so far, it's been a clean race. It's been a sportsmanlike race, and what more could you ask for?
No, and these three really have been in a bit of a class of their own. They managed to pull quite a substantial gap from Michael Rust in 4th place, and very much deserving their position. I mean, it's been Basil and Adrian Nell basically for every race I've been a part of in this NamLAN season, so both of which deserve to be there. And Dipinard also could have won a couple of races if it wasn't for its internet connection. Adrian Nell's now putting the fastest lap of the race, 1:58.310. It looks like he's got it in hand. 1.5 seconds. They've got 2 laps to go. So they crossed the line with just enough that they'll complete this lap, and then there'll be one final lap. If they could all just agree to themselves and wasted a few seconds, they could have had 1 lap less of this race, but they'll have to go for 2, as Adrian Nell's got his gap up to 1.5, really putting the hammer down. It appears that Basil van Rijn is struggling to hold on now, as his tyres probably come to the end of their working lifespan. And Nell's just managed to find some grip from somewhere to put the fastest lap of the race in on the penultimate lap.
This is interesting to watch, really it is.
So Michael Rust has basically been on his own in 4th position. We haven't really seen much
for most
of
the
him.
Race,
Yeah, he's just merrily going around as if he's on a practice server, but I can assure you he's pushing as hard as he possibly can. He's just being dropped by the front 3, whose pace has been pretty relentless.
Exactly. The big thing about Michael is I've never seen him to be a particularly aggressive or defensive driver. But for all the races I've watched him, he's always been consistent. You know, Michael Russ is just one of those guys. He's consistent. A lot of these guys, you know, we're looking currently at Peter Hobler, Fasaki, Begier. These guys, they've got that aggressive tactic. Maybe not as consistent as Michael, but that's what brings the flavor to this. Is every guy's got their driving style, and I love the fact that we're looking at the what you could almost call the last pack of the race, and these guys are just not letting go. Look at that. Yeah. Side by side, turn by turn. This is
massive battle between Dylan and Peter here as Grobler comes up and there's contact there, but I think he got the place made. But Mike McGear's going to come through and say, thank you very much, I'll have both those places. Mike McGear snatches 2 from nowhere and is up into 7th. So
well done.
That's happened in a couple of races, and he's happy just to wait in the hindsight and wait for the contact to be made, although Mike McGear looks like he's made plenty of contact himself in that green 695. But yeah, he gained 2 places in 1 corner. So we moved on to the final lap of this race. Adrian Nell got his gap at 1.3, dropped just slightly, but I'm pretty sure he's managing himself because these 3 cars are going to come through for the ultimate prizes. And remind the viewers what those are, Flip. 1st position, 2nd position, 3rd position.
Yes, so 1st position is going to rake himself in a $4,250 Namibian dollar prize. 2nd place is $2,000 Namibian dollars, and 3rd place is $1,375 Namibian dollars. So pretty good. I mean, up to 3rd place, pretty good.
Yeah, very good. That's not bad for a Tuesday night. Not bad at all. So Adrian Nell is coming up through turn 10, 11 Learcott for the last time. He's done several races here. Sunday was a bit of a washout, unfortunately, but we got back on track here Tuesday night, and it's been a clean final. And Adrian Nell looks like he's going to come through 11 laps of this final, 20 minutes in a 695. Felt like an endurance race, I'm sure, as he can just get these tyres home. We'll take a 4K prize. Basil Van Rijn is thinking. He valiantly tried. The pressure at the start was immense. Managed to get in front of Adrian, in fact, but just couldn't hold it. Should come through for 2nd. And Wilro Dippenage has been superb. And thankfully gets to the end of an extended race with his internet intact. So there you go. Adrian Nell will be the 2021 AC NamLAN champion, followed by Basil Van Rijn in 2nd position. Wilro Dippenage will find himself on the podium and in the prizes. Michael Rust in the position you never want to be, in 4th. But very well done to get there. A lot of battle, and he's got a clean 695, so maybe he'll get some money back from selling that. Andre Basson in 5th position. Jason Nell is going to come through. Looked pretty happy with 6th place, flashing his lights. Mike McGear mugged 2 guys at the end and got 7th from Dylan Visagi and Peter Grobler, who feels like they're still battling. But very well done.
No. Yeah, indeed. I mean, I'm very happy tonight went well. Obviously not the best situation when you have to postpone your final race due to technical difficulties, but I'm glad tonight went well. It was a very clean race. It was a very competitive race. And, you know, what we saw pretty much what we saw throughout the race, we knew it was either the entire time counting down with Basil defending, or Adrian was going to get past at some point. Adrian once again proved himself, got by, and past Basil, and it was just an incredible race. For most of it, it was actually still a chance. It was either or, but here at the end we saw really consistency is key with, as I just said, Michael Russ coming in 4th place, not the most aggressive or defensive driver, but he made it in 4th place. And that sometimes you just need that consistency. It doesn't matter if you're fast. If you're fast but you keep making mistakes, it's a problem. And that's what these, the top 4 or 5 guys always prove, is just that consistency. But it was a good race. It were that I don't know if we call it beautiful, but that extraordinary blue Fiat 500, not blue, sorry, red Fiat 500 in front with Adrian Nell was incredible, followed by the 2 white ones and then the blue one with Michael Rust. It's been an incredible race, and I'm sure these guys are going to enjoy their prize winnings from NamLAN 2021. Postponed to now, but it was still worth it, I think. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. Also had a little bit of difficulty at the start of this with audio levels. Apologies for that. There's so much going on as we're trying to get servers up and running. I didn't didn't see your comments there, so I do apologise for the audio levels in the first race. We fixed it for the second race, though, which was the final. And yeah, I like the fact these guys are coming in parade in their in-lap. And overall, massive success, and I'm a convert to a 695, I have to say, as they come into the pits. I love it when they do a proper in-lap rather than quick to pit lane. So a victory lap for our leader, Adrian Nel, who will be the 2021 champion, and very well fought from Basil van Rijn in second position, and Wilro Dippenaar finally got something for his efforts. And I think overall we'll be quite happy for third place. A culmination of 6 or 7 races as we take a short break and then we'll come back to sum up. So we'll be back shortly.
Daniel.
Okay, we're back. That's a wrap. That's a wrap for NamLAN 2021, I believe. And it was a wrap for the AC Championship. Our leader, Adrian Nel, comes away with maximum prizes and quite valiantly earned, I believe. And we had a great final. So just like to say thanks to our organisers and sponsors that made this event possible. And I understand that it won't be the last time we see them. So, Flip, what have you got planned for the future?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. We're heading into the mainstream as this esports season, technically for Namibian esports, ends in March. We're ending to what we'll call the end of this year, meaning 2021 in March now, and starting with the new season in 2022 with all the different disciplines, all the different games. Obviously, looking for new Namibian players to get Namibian colors. The World Championships this year is in Indonesia and Bali, actually. So wow. The Island of Gods. That's going to be very interesting. I think the games are announced this Friday. So that's the one thing we'll be doing. The second thing is Namibia motorsport, and especially the digital racing. It's been coming a while now, and NESA is really starting to get invested here. You know, right now we're relying on the established communities to really help us through these races and everything. NESA is really looking into it to becoming an established or to get involved in the established leagues. Obviously, what we need to do is whenever we get involved in a new community, like let's say sim racing now, we need to look at what are they doing international, what are the rules, what are the regulations, and we need to ensure. And I think the guys have already done a pretty good job here in Namibia. I mean, look at this. Look at what we experience now between Namibia and South Africa. It's pretty good races. All that we need to do now as NESA, as a regulatory body, is to see, what is done internationally, what is done by the regulatory body internationally, and apply it here. So definitely 2022, we're going to get involved with esports, especially in the digital racing scene as well. We're going to get people trained, not just on the technical side, but on the rules, the referee side. We want qualified people, so we're definitely going to step up their space. So those people who like the motorsport scene, the digital racing scene, I urge them to keep an eye on this space, because we're going to get involved. I mean, up till now, it's only been NamLAN where we did Assetto. We're going to do this. If I could snap my finger, if it was an ideal world, I'll snap it. We'd have the biggest Assetto, leagues in the world. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, but we're definitely going to see what we can do in terms of African motorsport digitally. So a lot of things that's exciting coming this year, and every year it gets bigger. We get more people involved. And as I said, apart from the guys that we have to get to send to Bali, we're definitely going to take stuff to the next level this year. And of course, NamLAN 2022 in December. Hopefully not postponed like this one. Yeah. this time.
I like it. It's been great. So another congratulations to our winners of this round, Adrian Nell, Basil Van Ryan, and Wilro Dippenyar for the top 3 places. I've had a jewel, really enjoyed it. So I hope to be back for the next time. I hope you races will be back and you get a second opportunity, and we'll get a bit of a bigger venue. Well, I can't get a bigger venue, but a bigger event with a few more drivers will be pretty epic. But it looks like you've got that in hand. So I think that's a wrap for a final. I'm glad we got there in the end, but what a race it was. And,
and I mean, sorry, please go ahead.
No, carry on, Flip.
No, all I wanted to say is, again, I just wanted to thank, our sponsors, Dano Dog, Logitech, making this possible, especially a shout out to the SRAC group. A special thank you to yourself, Daniel. I know, doing a 9-hour Kyle Lamy stream and then coming
20 minutes is easy for me. 9 hours. After 9 hours, 20 minutes felt like an advert break. Yeah.
It's a really different thing. So I want to put out a really special thank you out there for everyone involved, and especially our sponsors, casters like yourself, people taking the time to help us build this esports community. And in closing, I would like to say, anyone that wants to reach out at Nessa, I'm always open to the community. We can talk and keep an eye out. We'll keep everyone involved, and hopefully we can, as you just said, we can keep growing this. So thank you very much, Daniel, and thank you to everyone that watched the stream.
Perfect. Nice way to finish. So that's it from me, Daniel Haynes, and Flip de Bruin. Thanks so much for joining us. Until the next time, guys, drive safe, and we'll see you soon.
Huh?